Hello and welcome back to Jack Knives Reviews. I'm of course your host, Jack Knives. Today I will be reviewing the Amazon Prime original series, The Peripheral. In the year 2032, in a small town, a freelance gamer named Flynn helps her veteran brother and ailing mother to get money. She does this by doing some tasks in a VR headset simulation. One day, a secretive group sends a special VR headset to them that allows them to operate a hyper-realistic copy of the user, along with being able to feel and sense all the nerve endings, called a peripheral. Flynn ends up seeing something she wasn't meant to, and is now in something that affects not only her and her family, but possibly the future of humanity. As I've stated multiple times, one of my favorite subgenres is science fiction. But I do like the science fiction that deals more on the realistic side of, could we see this sort of technology advancing in this sort of way, rather than the crazy, bombastic, over-the-top sci-fi stuff of like the year 3 billion or whatever. I did enjoy the technology and the technological advances of this series because it felt like it was in the right direction. Not necessarily in the right execution. There's some stuff that I go, I don't know if that would exist in 2032, because it's really not that far from now. But I do see technology advancing in a specific way with regards to the VR headsets going into AI technology, going into robotics. I see that because that sort of stuff is already being developed now. The reason I bring up the technology aspect is because it plays a huge role in the series. But as far as the series goes itself, Chloe Grace Moretz is the main character, and she has a great way of being this proxy for the audience where she knows enough to get by in the technology aspect, but she's also very, very out of the loop. And we, the audience, are kind of brought in with her. There is parts of the series where it feels like it's trying to be smarter than it actually is. It's trying too hard to get you to get from episode to episode. What I mean by that is there are aspects where it's like, you're pretty obvious what the hell's going on, yet we have to pad out the character figuring out what's going on. So a good example would be that, you know, the big bad is this egomaniacal woman who has a lot of power. She's out to get revenge, and it takes so long for them to explain that to her. It just gets irritating to no end. And then there's little things like the southerner hillbillies. I mean, he's obviously like a metaphor for like a plantation owner, but he's more of like just this evil, corrupt villain who lives in their town. When you stop and think about it, there are parts where you're just like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. And then there are parts where you go, okay, I kind of want to see where it goes from here. And the jarring back and forth kind of takes you out of it a lot, especially the fact that she has to keep putting on and off the headset between her world, or her time, I should say, and the peripheral of her robotic self in the semi-future or alternate future. They're not really clear on that. Some of the cast gets so irritating, specifically the good guys that we're supposed to follow. They just get so pretentious. Like, they act like they know everything, and it's like, how can you not understand? And it gets so irritating. Like, so irritating, because you're like, well, maybe if you explained it, maybe if you told us what we need to understand, I wouldn't give a shit. I wouldn't be so angry. I tried so hard to get invested into this series because I love Chloe Grace Moretz. Honestly, I think she's one of the most underappreciated actresses of our current generation. I also love sci-fi and the technology, which I will say, the effects for this series are fantastic. Like, they actually feel like stuff that you could see in a practical sense being developed. Like, there's a camouflage car. Like I said, the VR headsets. There's the concept of the AI technology. There's things that I'm like, okay, I could kind of see where this is going. I could kind of see this sort of existing. But then it just jars between these characters that are just so either irritating or generic, and It's like Chloe Grace Moretz is holding the entire series. Like, I see why the posters are just of her face, because she really is holding up this entire series. It sucks when you see the pieces almost fit, but they never quite fit the way you expect them or want them to. And it really, really affects your interest in the series. I give The Peripheral 3 out of 5. Have you seen The Peripheral? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, I'll see you next time.